Booktube Nation, I'm Sam here again with A Baron and Bee Books, and today I wanted to bring to you my top 3 favorite classics of all time. So today I want to talk about my 3 favorite classic books of all time, which also happens to be my 3 favorite books of all time. However, I will say that there are some books that I studied while in school, and it's been a long time, that I really love, but I've read them so long ago that I don't feel that I can put them in these lists yet. Some of those, like The Count of Monte Cristo or The Great Gatsby, The Sound and the Fury, Lay Down in Darkness, and more. There are some books that I really loved that I studied in school and in college that I feel like I need to give a reread before I include them in my lists, but just know that I loved all those too. I thought this would be a nice month to do this video because it's Victober, which I hope everyone is able to participate in. I will link the hosts' channels down below. This year we have Katie from Books and Things, Kate from Kate How, and Lucy from Lucy the Reader hosting. So it's a wonderful readathon that they host. I'm sure you're all following them, but if you're not, go check them out. So what I've learned about me is that I really enjoy books that center around the family unit. I've read a lot of different kinds of books and I've read a lot of different genres, and I find that for me, I like either classics or historical fiction or even fantasy. A lot of fantasy has found family, which is wonderful as well. And then classics have some found family as well, or some more traditional family units. But I just love books that talk about the family unit, that look into the different archetypes. And I like how books study like the head of the family, and how when different people are like the head of the family, how that can affect others in the family. I like studying about how different types of addictions can affect families. I actually did an honors project on that in college. So I'm very passionate about this type of thing, and it only makes sense that these are my favorite books. So the first one of those books is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. This is by Sirius Publishing edition. It's a beautiful hardcover. I got these in the box set, and it was almost all the Bronte books minus one, which is so silly to me. It doesn't have Shirley, I believe, but it is a beautiful set. And this is the Wuthering Heights. I think it's very appropriate in the bright red. And yeah, this is another one of those books that I studied in school, absolutely loved. This and maybe I think I read an abridged version of The Count of Monte Cristo when I was like maybe 13. I think that's probably the first classic I really fell in love with. But this one I think I read when I was about 16 years old, and I really loved it. And even before I just recently reread it, I could still feel like the setting. It's very atmospheric. I could still see like the moors and like the landscape. It's so beautifully written. Now, this one, in difference to these other two, is not a nice book. These other two you can curl up with. They're very cozy. This is not that. This book, I feel like it's either people love it or hate it, and I think it has a lot to do with what you expect to get out of it. So there is a lot of emotion in this book. There is some love, but it's not what it's about. It is a very violent book. It is a very gruff, very gritty book. So I think if you go in knowing that there are going to be a lot of negative emotions in here and a lot of hateful emotion, then you may enjoy your reading experience more. Definitely don't go in expecting something like Pride and Prejudice, because you're not going to get that. This book is basically about 2 families in an area, and they begin to intermingle. It's also about what happens when the head of the family shifts and how power and who has that power, how people can use that to twist people's lives, and then the repercussions of that. It's really sad because when I think about this book, I always wonder what would this person have become if da 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 da, you know? Um, a lot of us in our lives go through awful tragedy, and some of us are still who we would have turned out to be either way, and some people are altered by things that happen to them. So I think that it it all depends. I don't think there's really an answer to that. I think it depends on the person, it depends on the situation. And I think it's like that nature versus nurture discussion, right? Like, are you who you are, or are you who you are because of how you were raised? I don't know. I think for me, I think it's a mix of both. That's kind of how I've always seen it. I think certain people are inherently one way or the other. You know, some people have an inherent temper, some people are inherently more emotional. And I think that how you're treated has a lot to do and how you develop. But yeah, this book also has some really interesting like gothic and paranormal elements to it. It's really intriguing, but it's really dark. But it's just such an interesting story, and it's told really uniquely, and it has kind of like two parts. And once you'll read it, you'll kind of see what I mean. It's kind of like a generational thing. So you see more than one generation, which I happen to love. That's another thing that I really enjoy in novels. And it's not quite that large, but there's so much in here. I would say that anyone that loves classics and doesn't mind not being able to identify with their characters, there are a couple of redeeming characters in here, but there are a lot of despicable ones too. And a lot of the characters make a lot of choices that you're like, why? Why would you do that? So I think if you can deal with unlikable characters and you enjoy classics and you like dark books, give it a try. Next, I have Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen, and this is my little pocket with illustrations. I love the illustrations. So this is the Macmillan Collector's Library Edition, and I love these little books. I love the size of them. The print is a little small, but if you're looking for a book to take with you to travel or just to tuck in your purse, I really love the size of these, and I find them really comfortable to read from. So this is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. This is my second favorite classic and my second favorite book of all time. This one is also about family, mostly about the relationship between two sisters, but also with their younger sister and their mother. Basically, in the beginning of this book, there's a change in circumstance, and the girls have to move to go live with a distant relative with their mother. And it's about their love pursuits and how their economic change and how all that affects their life and how it affects their romantic pursuits. But one of the reasons I really love this is because it really shows how family can lean on each other in times of tragedy. And I love the relationship between the sisters, even though they are so different. You can really see that love bonds them, and I think that that's really special. And one of my favorite love stories of all time is in here. I don't want to give anything away, but yeah, it's so nice. It's so warm, and there's so much goodness in this book. There are some they're very vain characters in here that are very selfish, but there's also some wonderful, caring, compassionate, beautiful characters in here. And I think if you enjoy Austen and you haven't got to this, definitely do. If you like books that are about siblings, I would give this a chance. And if you enjoy love stories that are believable or practical, I might try this, because I feel like one of the love stories in here is more akin to current day. You know, it's not necessarily always love at first sight, though I suppose that could happen. But, sometimes love needs time to grow, and it's not always the passionate love. It might be a love of adoration that grows. So, yeah, I really love this. And, yeah, second favorite book of all time. And finally, my favorite classic and my favorite book of all time. I wish it was a teddy bear. That is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Now, to be fair, it is technically Little Women and Good Wives. They're together now. When it was originally published, they were published separately, but they're together now. There are 2 more books. I really need to read them. I don't have a copy, and they're not super easy to find. But yeah, there's Little Men and Joe's Boys as well. I need to get my hands on. I love this. If you've watched my channel for any length of time, you know that I'm originally from the New England area, specifically from Massachusetts. And this is set in New England, and it's like a piece of home. Like, even though obviously I was born way after this is set, it still feels home. There's something very special about New England in the United States, in that it's the only part of our country that has that feel to it. I suppose maybe Pennsylvania, but our country is so different and diverse and beautiful for all those reasons. But there's something very special to me about New England, since that's where I'm from. And this cozy, like, classic vintage just feel, with the older homes and the fires and the woods, and it just is very New England. So I would say if you're from New England and you like it, you might enjoy this. But besides that, what is this about? This is a beautiful book about family. It's about 4 March sisters and their mother, and their father is off at war. And it's about how they pull together and how they are so gracious, and they do, wonderful things in their neighborhood. They are kind, they are compassionate, they are giving. There are instances, of course, no one's perfect, where their personalities really come to a head, and they can be, selfish, and they can be very angry and full of temper. But it really talks about how to grow through those challenges. One of the sisters in this book is becoming a writer, so if you like that, which most readers do, I think you would like this. Some people say that this book is way too sweet for them. That's not me. Like, I think our current world is so messed up in many ways, and it is still beautiful in other ways. But like, if you're like me and you don't like to surround yourself with the negativity that our current world is filled with, and you just want something wholesome, this may be a good choice for you. I feel like it also reads really well for Christmas time. So bonus, that's coming up, because there are some Christmas scenes in this, and it just, all those feelings, like a warm blanket, a fire, family, fellowship, like all of that is in here. And it's so lovely and so wonderful. And I actually identify with 2 of the sisters, and that's another reason I love this book, is because the 4 different sisters have such different personalities that typically you'll be able to identify with one of them, if not with Marmee, their mom, who is wonderful. And it's a really honest depiction about life and about who you are, and dealing with things that you might struggle with. but also being able to give and to be a good human being and what that means. And there is some love story in here too. Not everyone agrees with the way that it goes, but I think for me, I think it's very realistic, and I appreciate that. I think that it could have gone the other way, and I may have been okay with it. I may not have. But if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. But I think that the way that Alcott wrote it made it more realistic, because things aren't how you always imagine them to be in novels. And I think by writing it that way, it made the characters feel more real. If you're from New England, you should probably give this a chance. If you like women writers that write classic fiction, you should give this a chance. If you like wholesome books, I think if you like, and I haven't finished it, I know I need to, but I think if you like Anne of Green Gables, you should read this, because I started Anne with my daughter and she was too small for it yet, so I put it aside. But it gave me kind of those same feels, but Anne is a little bit more precocious than these girls, I think, in my opinion. But anyway, I love this, and I plan on reading it for many, many years to come. This is my beautiful orange Word Cloud Classics edition. And just a little side note about me, I have grown up with like tiger lilies. It's my flower. It was in my grandparents' yard. It was in my wedding bouquet. It's very much been a part of my life. So I love this color orange because it reminds me of those flowers. And so yeah, just lots of things to love for me. But I highly recommend it. This is my favorite book of all time. And I can't wait to reread it again. If you've read these books, please let me know how you liked them. And if you haven't, let me know if you're gonna give them a try now. So yeah, I could have made a longer list, but I really wanted to spend time talking about my 3 favorites. So I hope that you've enjoyed your time with me today. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, thank you so much. But that's all I have for you today. Thanks for being here with me today. Farewell for now. Bye-bye.